All right. Okay, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you, and into the intersection of finance, insurance, real estate, and lending, and bringing you insights that elevate your professional journey. I'm your host, Pablo Troncoso, and in today's episode, it's a game changer for all you professionals out there. So I've personally spent about 20 years in mortgage, life insurance, and real estate, and about 3 years in fintech, where I coached and trained up over 300 mortgage sales teams and executives on utilizing their database of past clients to more than 20x their ROI and create what I call quality referral partners. Very timely issue. So my partner Alex and I, we own a company called EP Documents, which specifically helps financial professionals in the topic at hand today. So while this interview may seem self-serving, I want to clear the air. Today's purpose is awareness and educational. Okay, so trust me, it will be that. And if you find any of this information helpful and you want to learn more, listen, we'll share ways to schedule time with us in the end. Fair enough? Do me a favor, drop into the chat where you're from. Drop into the chat what industry you're in. I'd love to see. We've invited specifically a lot of financial professionals, real estate mortgage professionals. Let us know what industry you're in, and also where you're tuning in from. So just like I tell my clients, right? Make sure your decisions are the product of your own conclusions, right? Make your own, take your own information, but also be sure that you're getting educated before you do anything with that. So whether you're in the mortgage, insurance, or real estate, wondering how to bring your business back to life, I want to let you know I've been there, and this will be helpful today. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not an attorney. I do not play one on TV. And as one of our coordinators states, I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So we'll certainly be unraveling the impact that estate planning can have on your bottom line, but also why you should care. So you're going to want to pay close attention because, guys, estate planning isn't just a box to check. It's a powerful solution that has the potential to boost your influence, boost your revenues, increase lifetime value of clients, and draw in new clients. And technology has increased the speed and efficiency of that. And so I'm thrilled to introduce our esteemed guest, partner on our company, EP Documents, for the last 3 years, Mr. Frank Divers, co-founder and CEO of Estate Docs Pro. Frank's been a trailblazer in providing specialized estate planning software solutions tailored exclusively for financial and real estate and lending professionals. So without further ado, hey, let's bring on our guest, Frank Divers. Frank, welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Pablo. It's great to be with you today. I'm excited to speak to not only your team but also the guests that you have via the webinar today, and hopefully they will have some good questions as we go through this next 40 to 45 minutes and leave this call realizing that they made a very worthwhile investment of their time.
Very good, Frank. So much to uncover in such little time. Where should we start?
Well, I can throw one thing out there, Pablo, since we started this company roughly 14 years ago, just so I know you already know this, but the audience needs to know it. We are the number one estate planning platform in the country that is exclusively built for professionals, which means that we do not deal directly with the public. Our solution is designed specifically for professionals, whether they be insurance licensed or financial planners or real estate or even CPAs. We've got attorneys using our software. So, we're in all 50 states, and we've had just about every scenario that you can imagine come at us with regards to, well, I've got a family, or I've got this individual that has this particular situation going on, and how would estate planning work for my client? And without exception, uh, there's ways. I mean, today the big question, Pablo, is if I'm in insurance, or if I'm in the real estate business, What can I do to differentiate myself in the future? What can I do to attract more new business? And what can I do to stimulate more referral business? And there's lots of solutions out there. I see them. I get them in my email box every day. Everybody's touting something new, exciting, great. This will work. This is like magic. But at the end of the day, people see through all of that, and it has to be something that's worthwhile, that's valuable, that benefits their life. Otherwise, it's just more noise. Well, estate planning, from our perspective and what we've learned over the past decade, is that if I'm in this business as a licensed, again, real estate or insurance or financial services, whatever the case may be, why would I not want to offer estate planning? That would be the question. I'll use the example of, this is bizarre to even think about this, but there was once upon a time that people had to go buy ice because there was no ice makers. You didn't have ice in the refrigerator. So you would have to go to the ice house and buy ice. Well, when they came out with ice trays that you put in your freezer and you could freeze ice, people then looked at it and says, well, why do I need to go get ice anymore? I can make my own ice. Well, the same thing goes
Sure.
with this. It's like, now finally, not only have I heard and been educated on why it makes total sense to have an estate plan, especially the centerpiece of that plan, which is a living trust, when it is without a doubt the hottest topic going on in America right now. You hear it on radio, you see it on the internet, you have people walking around asking questions about it because it's
No.
being really, really pushed. And a lot of that is happening as a result of the generational transfer of wealth that we're seeing here in this country right now, which is upwards of 50, no, more than, it's like $80 trillion. Well, who does that impact? It impacts everybody. It impacts anybody that's got family members that have accomplished any type of a investment plan in their life, whether if it's just owning a home or if it's just having an IRA or a 401k or a piece of property that they inherited from their family, whatever they may have constitutes their estate. And the legal profession, kind of tongue in cheek, has kept this mastery of how to keep your estate out of probate court, which belongs to the government. How to protect your estate from probate court and the thousands and thousands of dollars that's going to cost you. That's been kept behind the curtain for decades. Well, now
Right.
it's out. It's, as I say, the horse is out of the barn. And how did that happen? Why did that happen? It happened because all of a sudden, through the power of the internet, companies like ours were able to build software that the attorneys have been using for decades and provide this software to professionals so that they can work with their clients to get a comprehensive estate plan in place. And we have it. We built it. Took us over 2.5 years to build it, millions of dollars. Now we've got people that are licensed, whether it's in real estate, insurance, or whatever, that are out there using this in their client business every day, and the businesses are exploding. I met with two gentlemen yesterday that started with us 4 years ago, and they told me that just with the estate planning alone, forget their insurance and annuities and other business that they have, which is the core of their business, just with their business relationship using our software, that they are, between the two of them, earning about $400,000 a year between the two of them, just off of the estate planning. Doesn't count their annuities, doesn't count their life, it doesn't count anything. And they were telling me that, in their family, they knew people that had bought franchises, like with Subway. And it cost you a couple of $100,000, you get into it, and then you're lucky if you can net profit out of one store, $50 or $60,000 a year. And that's with an investment of a couple of 100,000. So here, we're not looking, I mean, it's just so amazing what being able to incorporate comprehensive estate planning into your business, what it will do, not only with your income. I'm sure you've heard the old cliche, the more you help other people get what they need and want, the more you're going to move up in life, right? So that's what this does, is educating people so that they understand. The majority of the population doesn't understand. But once they understand that you have a plan, it's either the government's plan or your own plan, and they understand the consequences, which are negative to have the government's plan of probate court versus having your own plan. Once they understand that, this is the easiest business I've ever seen because
Mm,
understanding is the key to wisdom, right? Once you have an understanding, then you get wise on that particular subject. And then you look yourself in the mirror and say, why wouldn't I do that? Why would I,
right.
throw 10, 20, $30,000 out of my estate or more to the state that I live in, to the government, when I can keep that in my family, not to mention protect my privacy? So it is a hot subject. And anybody that's on this call today, on this webinar, you're fortunate and that you have the opportunity. Now, once it's over, what you do with this opportunity is up to you. But I can tell you, and you know this, Pablo, we've got professionals all across the country that are not only seeing their incomes soar, but just the client referrals that they're getting because of what they're doing to help other families. It's bringing them business. People refer their friends and family members to this versus, whether it's insurance or whatever, they may not be too quick to
Yeah,
refer that, but this they definitely refer.
that's right. So Frank, you bring up a lot of good points. I want to focus on, you talked about the wealth transfers of 84 trillion, and that's, slated out over the next 20 years. So this isn't a window that's closing anytime soon. And we all saw it. I mean, anyone that turned on the TV and watched any of the playoff games, the NFL playoff games this past weekend, there were commercials, there were spots that were taken out talking about estate plans and trusts and wills. For those in the audience, right? Because and I would say I was one of them that didn't really know exactly what a estate plan was. Let's kind of take it back for a second and let's cover some of the basics. Frank, what is an estate plan, and why should the audience care?
Okay. So an estate plan is a set of documents, and there's several documents that make up a plan. The centerpiece of an estate plan is a revocable living trust. Revocable living trust, RLT. So people have known about trusts for decades, but for whatever reason, there's been a preconceived notion that having trust was only for wealthy people. Well, yeah, the wealthy have had it for their secret haven for decades. Well, it's not just for wealthy people. Attorneys don't mind keeping clients kind of in the dark and saying, well, all you need is a last will and testament, and that'll take care of you. Well, sure, it'll get you through probate court, maybe, and that's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of stress and a lot of inconvenience, not to mention loss of privacy. So the trust is the center. You've got some ancillary documents like a power of attorney over healthcare, a power of attorney over finances, advanced directives, which is called a living will, a certificate of trust, which is proof that you have a trust, guardianship forms if you have minor children or adult disabled children. All of these documents make up what is referred to as a comprehensive estate plan. Now, I refer to the trust as being the centerpiece, and here's why I use that terminology. We speak of the generational transfer of wealth being roughly, $80 trillion. Well, what does that mean? Well, there's millions of families sitting out there today that unfortunately, we just have to realize that the end of life comes for everyone. And it seems like the older you get, the more you age. It's like being on a high speed freeway, and the path to getting to the dead end is fast. When you're young, that path moves kind of slow. But as we age, it seems like, wow, time, years are passing by. And the unfortunate thing about our life cycle is that freeway of life ends up at a dead end. So that is going to happen. So, and so now we've got families sitting out there realizing that between their parents and grandparents, that they're probably going to get an inheritance. And that could be 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, or whatever. Why? Because this baby boomer effect has accumulated more wealth than any group of people in the history of mankind, in the history of this country. And that wealth transfers. Well, when you have a last will and testament, that gives a probate court direction on how to distribute that wealth, whether it's I want my grandkids to get $1,000, or I want this piece of property to go to this person, or ever how a person would want that handled. That's what happens through the trust as compared to a last will and testament. that has to go through probate court. Why? Because it's a wish document. It's what my wishes are, but it's not drawn up in a contract. A trust is a contract. So now let's talk about how the transfer takes place. Any assets that a person has uh, would be broken into basically two categories. One would be what's called a titled asset. So a titled asset is anything that has your name on it. For instance, real estate. Real estate has your name on it. Well, I own real estate, but I've got an LLC. Boom. The LLC has your name on it. So now what do you do with the LLC? It owns the property. Well, you want to put the LLC into the trust. Done. Why? Because if you didn't, then the succession plan for that LLC will have to go through probate court again. That could cost tens of thousands of dollars, especially if you have some assets in it. So real estate, automobiles, cash accounts, which would be checking, savings, CDs, money markets, safety deposit boxes. I just heard a story of a family that had a trust. They had everything transferred into the trust. That's called funding, transferring the real estate, the cash, putting that's the funding process to make sure that the trust is properly funded. Well, here was a family that had it all done, but they forgot to transfer the safety deposit box into the trust. And as a result, the successor trustee, when she went to the bank and she had everything in order, everything was done, well, that one little thing was left out. They forgot to put the safety deposit box into the trust. So that safety deposit box then had to go through probate court, and the legal expenses relative to that transfer was $2,500 for that one asset, not counting the amount of time that it took to get to it. So these are the things that happen, and that's the reason why it's so important to get into, to get into transferring these assets over into the trust, because when you do, you take probate court out of the equation. Now the government is pushed back to the back. They don't have anything to do with your estate. And what does that mean to my family? Well, first of all, if you don't, then think of it like this: the state that you live in is a beneficiary of your estate. Well, what do you mean by that? They're not going to be. I've got the last will and testament. I'm leaving what little bit I've got, which is not a lot. I own a house and have an IRA or whatever. I mean, it's worth a few hundred thousand. So, I mean, what does that really mean? Well, it just means that if I don't get that done, then it is going to end up in probate, and that process could drag out for months or years, and a lot of it could wash away through the costs that are associated with that whole process. So then, if it goes to the government, which is the state, through the probate court process, then doesn't that in fact kind of make the state your beneficiary, because they're going to get a piece of it? So what we want to do is we want to cut the state out. We want to leave what the person and the family has accumulated in their lifetime in the form of their estate, whatever it may be. We want to get that packaged into the trust so that it will be distributed at the proper time in the way that I want it done, and not the way that a court might do it. So that's what an estate plan is. It's legal documents that allows for the transfer of my estate, which is everything that I own, to who I want to get it, when I want them to get it, and how I want them to get it. As compared to probate court, whatever's left in probate court just goes to the beneficiary. Period. But it's whatever's left. But in this case, I'm able to decide not only who's going to get it, but when they're going to get it and how they're going to get it, versus having a court that I have no say so in whatsoever, having them make those decisions on behalf of my family. That's what an estate plan is.
And I'm so glad you put it together that way. And I think we've all, as financial real estate mortgage professionals, we've all been through the client that is going through, or have heard of a client that is going through a probate process, right? Whether it's a probate sale, whether they can't move forward until the probate is done, and the nightmares and kind of the heart-wrenching stories that we hear about that. So if I'm getting this straight, the last will and testament, that's essentially like a wish list. The actual revocable living trust is almost what makes it kind of official, right? And puts you in a position of not having to go through probate with all of your assets, whether titled or untitled. So really, I mean, from the sounds of it, Frank, and this is really important, and I didn't know this until I started asking my past clients, uh, how how many people have this kind of plan in place? And even Kyle had asked in the comments there, he'd asked, how big is the market for estate plan? It almost seems like everyone should have this. Can you talk on that for a bit?
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's you're talking about a hole in the market where there's so much opportunity we can't even calculate it. This is it. Now that it's starting to get busy because people have woke up to the fact that, hey, this is a tremendous opportunity. Let's get into this business. So you've got a lot of direct to consumer online websites that are pushing it. Wills and Trust, they're out there. And all we say is that if you're not concerned about your privacy, if you're not concerned about making sure that the documents are done right, if you're not concerned about whether the trust gets funded, all of those things, and you're just looked at saving some money, then go to a direct to consumer site and they'll take your information and give you some documents. But I can tell you that it's not, it just doesn't work. I mean, it's very intimidating to get all that done. So that's another reason why we don't go directly to the public is being able to provide this through our cloud-based platform, which we've been doing now for 12 years. Now people can go into this it on their own and working with their financial professional. Man, I mean, this is where it really gets exciting for me. Let's say I'm in the insurance business or even the real estate. So the real estate industry is, if there's any industry that experiences the roller coaster ride of up and down, and sometimes those thrills aren't as good as they are on a roller coaster. So we know that the real estate industry is not as low hanging fruit as it was a year or so ago. So real estate agents are a little bit more focused on how do I sustain my business? How do I grow my business? How do I work with my existing clients and generate more business? How do I do all of that? Well, having the opportunity to provide estate planning to them is a perfect hand in the glove scenario. I mean, it's like hand in the glove. Why? Because you know that they have a probatable asset just with that house that they bought from you, and there may be other things. So it's a natural hand in the glove, very synergistic for someone that's in real estate. Obviously, for insurance, it gets even more exciting because now when I'm working with a client to make sure that I get not only all their documents done, but I'm now going to make sure that their trust gets funded. Now, in the traditional world that we live in, and irrespective of all the technology and communications and everything we got going, we still have somewhat of a traditional lifestyle. So the trust, the last will and testament, which is, most people have heard of that. And most people have the assumption that that's all I need. I need to get a last will and testament. Well, over 50% of the population don't even have it. Even though you can survey them and they will acknowledge the fact that they should have it, in truthful surveys, they acknowledge, yes, I know I need to do it. I've been planning to do it. I haven't gotten around to it. It's something I got to do. But still, let's just say, roughly speaking, 50% of the population pass away and they don't have it. So now that estate becomes a part of the state that you live in. Let's say you're in Kentucky. So now the state of Kentucky is going to administrate your estate, whatever may be in it, and they're going to determine based on state laws how your estate is going to be distributed. And state laws are different than what you might put in a last will. So if you have a will, you're better off than not having a will, but still a good percentage of wills that go to probate court today, which they have to do, they have to go to court, are contested. Why? Because it's easy to contest it. You've got a lot of mixed families, people that stepchildren or whatever the case may be, and they may not agree with what the last will and testament says. So they will dispute it, contest it. Now that becomes a full-blown trial, and seriously, estate planning through probate court can take upward to a year or longer. And why does it take so long? Well, it serves the judicial system's best interest because the more it drags out, the more it costs. And we've heard stories of where families spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get an estate through probate court, and the estate itself was only worth about 500 or 600 thousand when they started, and as a result, the beneficiaries end up with little to nothing. That's That's what happens when you throw the dice into probate court. That's what you're doing. Why would any responsible adult that has got, and I say responsible with respect, you've bought a home, you've started a 401k, you've got an IRA, maybe you've got some life insurance, you've got children, maybe you've got a handicapped child, special needs child, whatever your scenario may be, whatever it may be. Why wouldn't you want to sit down with a professional, which we train our people to be professionals, as you already know? Why wouldn't you want to sit down with a professional that's going to take you literally by the hand and walk you through this entire process, so that not only at the end of the day are you going to be better off, you're going to be victorious over probate court. We're going to take it out of the equation versus leaving it over there to have to go through that. So today, roughly speaking, Pablo, 80% of the trusts that are written by law firms, 80% are never funded, and millions are written every year. Now, why aren't they funded? Well, the attorneys don't fund them. They explain to their client that they need to get their trust funded, but a lawyer's, that's not what they do. They do documents. So they give you advice and directions on what to do. 80% are never done. So consequently, that estate ends up going to probate court, but they have a trust. They have a trust. So at least that trust, through a pour over will move it through probate court a lot easier than it would have been if you just had a will. So 80%, 80%. So when we looked at this industry 15 years ago, our question, working with lawyers, was why? Why would you, charge someone $4,000 or $5,000 to do an estate plan, and then you don't make sure that their trust is funded? And they said candidly, you know, uh, we don't consider ourselves financial experts to be able to give people advice on what you should do with your assets. All we do is we tell them that you need to get your titled assets into the trust. Whereas when you're working, when I sit down with a financial professional, an insurance professional, they're able to look at what I've got. And now we're not just talking about estate planning, we're talking about legacy planning. I'm not just interested in keeping my estate out of probate court. Yeah, I want to do that. I want to save as much as I can, into my estate and protect the privacy of my family and make it as stress free as I can. I want to do that, but I also want to, be aware of all the options that may be available to me as far as, the estate that I've got. Maybe I've got an insurance policy that an agent sold me 5 years ago that might not be the best for me. How do I know that? That's not my profession. I may own a piece of real estate, and I meet a real estate agent and they point out to me that, you know what, this area is not going anywhere. I mean, you want an investment in real estate, we should probably be looking at something else. So, in people want good direction, they want good advice. And today, what they are hearing is a lot of noise from the internet, from the radio, from the TV, I mean, we're so connected to our devices, we got noise coming at us just about 24/7. And so that just it keeps everybody just kind of running. People are more stressed now than ever because we are tied to our phones or whatever our devices are. So our professionals, people that are in the business of insurance or whatever, mortgages or real, whatever they're in, adding comprehensive estate planning to their business is going to take it to the next level up. It gives you something to think about and talk about that you don't have otherwise. And having that capability, having this, I'll call it a tool, but it's really a complete conversion, to convert just a traditional regular client into a super client, because I'm able to do something for them that's really, really special. And they talk about it. They
Yes.
talk about it. We've got one lady that got involved with us last July. Between July and the end of the year 2023, she wrote 77 estate plans.
Wow.
77, one person, and has written a tremendous amount of back end business from that, whether it's life insurance or annuities or whatever. That's one person. So we hear these type stories all the time. So a very small percentage of them really get funded through law firms. Whereas with our network, uh, our people are trained, as you already know, and your team does a great job of it as well, making sure that our agents, we call them agents, our licensees that are out there that have a subscription to be able to use this software in their business, they are seeing some amazing things happen, not only to their business, but because of what they're doing for other people. The paybacks are exponential.
Right. So Frank, one of the biggest questions we get then is I thought you had to be an attorney in order to provide this service, to provide these documents. So how is this above board, even if someone is not an attorney?
So lawyers would love for you to think that. They're like, yay, keep on thinking that, keep on thinking that. And if you ask me as an attorney, I would have to say, if I'm honest, like, well, to be honest with you, there's no law that says you have to have a law degree in order to offer someone software to get their estate plan done. No, there's no law that says you got to do that. You have to be able to create the documents. So if you don't have the software, then you have to write the documents, and that's practicing law. You can't do that. So the legal profession owned the right to get the software, Pablo. They had exclusive to it. The technology companies that built the software that law firms use, and they all use software. Anybody tells you they don't, nah, they all use it. The technology companies that built that software, they would only allow lawyers. You had to prove to them that you were a member of a bar in your state before they would let you spend 10,000 or 9,000, whatever it might be, to get access to that software. That's what law firms do. And that's the reason that they charge thousands of dollars, is because they have a little bit of an investment themselves. They use the software, they don't write the documents. And I hate to say it, Pablo, but a lot of attorneys, they generally speaking know what's in the document, but they don't read. It's the software that does it. So it's totally 100%, 1,000% wide open market opportunity for people like us to be able to get access to the software and to be able to not only take advantage of it for ourselves. Hey, we can do it at cost for ourselves, but now we can provide it to our friends, our family, and most especially our clients, and referrals. It just goes on and on and on from there.
You know, and I know you were sharing about the licensee, the agent that had written, helped 77 of her clients with estate plans, right? And I can't imagine the number of referrals for other people. I'll give you a basic example. I remember when I first discovered this, um, these online estate plans, right? Estate plan documents. And when I was walking on the trail with my wife, we were just taking a nice stroll, and I'm talking about the importance and the value of what I've discovered. I wasn't selling her on it. I was just telling her what I've discovered. And you know what? When we got to the end of the walk, she basically looked at me and she said, "So when are we getting ours?" Right? And she didn't already know that I had already started our process, and basically was going to bring her in for the intake portion of it. And then she immediately started talking about all of our family members that also need this plan, all of her brothers that have, wives and children. Her mother, who had lost her husband and didn't want to have to go through this again. And it just went on and on from there. So, from a business building, business expanding opportunity, I mean, I couldn't think of one other thing that was so much more profoundly effective to help people find referrals. Um, would you agree with that statement?
100%. I mean, this particular person, her name is Gina, that's what she did. I mean, when she was talking to these people, they would say, she would ask them, she said, "Do you got brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, whatever? Now that you've been smart enough to do this, you need to introduce me to them so that I can show them this opportunity as well." So she was very proactive, and she worked it that way. So one client would get her three, and those three would get her two more. In one day, I remember, she wrote seven in one day. That was because I call it the nest egg. Once you get into that nest, and which she did, a nest of family, And so it was all the family members within that nest that says, we want to do it,
Sure.
we want to do it, we want to do it. So it happens. It's automatic. You just have to, you just have to be there. You just have to understand that this can bring you a lot of referrals. Think of it like this. Someone, an insurance agent writes someone a life insurance policy or an annuity, whatever. And so they write that. How many of those people, when the agent leaves them, get excited and say, "Hey, we need to get on the phone and call some of our friends so that they can go get some insurance too." Now, how many people do that? They don't.
They don't.
They don't. Or when they buying real estate, they may say, "Hey, we just bought a new home, or we're looking," but it's not something that they're pushing, because people are going to be interested in a piece of property if they're interested in real estate. So that's not 100% of the people. It changes from time to time based on, hey, I've got my home. I'm not looking for anything else right now. I'm good to go. But with a state plan, it's different. It's different. So I've got mine, but I've got two adult children. We need to get them taken care of. And so and we've got it down to a science. And I know that when we're training people, it becomes so easy to grow a referral business, so that when you follow our training, when you follow our process, you're going to find that if you've been looking for lead sources in the past, that you won't have to in the future. You will have plenty of low hanging fruit opportunities lining up at your door. And I don't say that just to say it. I say it because I know it. We see it all across the country every single day. Does it work? Absolutely. All you have to do is be wise enough to incorporate this opportunity into your business and follow our training, and you're going to see some amazing things happen.
One of the biggest questions we get is, and we've had very successful advisors raise their hand and say, I've been looking into this. It's time. I'm ready to move forward. And they're very busy, so they want to know, hey, how much time am I going to have to commit to this? What kind of involvement am I going to have? What kind of investment is this going to take? I know for us personally, we've had what we call the concierge service, and that's been a huge plus, where we help kind of people break into helping their clients without having to necessarily do all the work. But then when they see how simple this is, right, and how little time investment, that we call it like a done for you service, where you utilize our team, and our team works hand in hand with you the advisor. I mean, it's just a marriage in heaven, because you still get all the opportunities to then discuss with your client and see with your client the financial aspect, right? Being on a call with a funding the trust conversation, where we get to see the full asset, full liability. Uh, that is very powerful to an advisor, especially when, I'm assuming, Frank, people aren't leaving assets out of this conversation that they might not have shared initially with an advisor, an insurance agent, right? They're not leaving that out when it comes to the estate planning conversation. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And the reason for that is because they see, what the process is. Again, it's making sure that that your plan is properly done, that it's properly funded, and then that it's kept current in the future, which is another benefit, as you know, that we offer, and that is the opportunity to keep your trust and keep your documents current in the future without having to pay legal fees. You do not get that benefit by going through a law firm to get the documents. They don't. Anytime you go back to the law firm, you're on a clock and you're being charged for that. Whereas with us, when you get the opportunity to access our software, then you have the plan, and you can keep it current going forward in your life, and you're not having to spend legal fees each time you need to make a change in it. And changing is rampant. I mean, people's lives change as they go forward, and to have that benefit, to be able to do that, is something very, very unique. It's very special. So this is a very timely opportunity, and it's, as you admit, this is not a fad. This is not going away. The only thing that would cause it to go away, this is interesting, If the legislature of the state got together and passed a law that says everyone in the state of Illinois, I just use that as an example, will have to have a living trust when you hit the age of 30, let's pick 30, and you have any of the following assets. You own a vehicle, you own any type of real estate, you've started any type of an investment plan, IRA, 401k, anything that you've done to start manifesting an estate, then you have to get a living trust. Now, if the state passes that law, which are not, by the way, but if they did, then it would take us out of business. But not only would it take us out of, well, it wouldn't because they would line up then to get it from us, but it's just, they're not going to do that because it would cost the state billions of dollars, billions. And they're not going to do that. They're looking for ways to bring money into the state, not have money, go out. So we know we're in a great place. We know that the future is going to get even richer for our business. We've got some new things, exciting things happening this year that you know about, and all of our people are going to be a part of 2024 is going to be an amazing year for people getting their estate plans done, and members of our network are going to see opportunities open up for them that they never thought about before.
Hey, so Frank, and by the way, we've got about 5 minutes left of our promised time here. We've gone ahead and dropped the link into the chat for you to go ahead if you want to learn more information, if you want to get on a quick discovery call, see if this is possibly a right fit for you. Like I said at the beginning, we were going to put that opportunity there. Go ahead and click that, grab some time on our calendar. 15-20 minutes is really all we need. Mark actually asked a really good question. He said, what's the cost per year to be able to change any of this information? So Frank, I'm gonna let you answer that because I know you know the cost, what people normally think, and then
Sure.
kind of what our solution provides.
Sure. So once a person purchases their plan, which you can obviously through EP documents explain to them what your business model is. Once they have the plan, then they have the plan for life. And one of the benefits of our platform is they get an electronic vault. The electronic vault is where they have access to all their documents 24/7. The vault comes with the plan the first year. So it's unlimited access to the vault. Anything that you need to do during the first year, you're able to access it, make the change, boom, you're done. Get a restatement to your trust, done, no legal fees. After the first year, $29.95 per year. That's to be able to access the vault, which then gives you access to your documents, which then gives you the ability to make changes and you don't pay legal fees. So it's $29.95. Now, not only is the trust, now the trust would be something you would probably only change if you were looking at changing beneficiaries, adding beneficiaries, making bequest changes, things like that. A trustee, what those are all changes that are incumbent upon the trust itself. You get new assets, maybe you sold something, something else came in. It's constantly, it's a living, breathing process, estate planning through the trust. The other documents, powers of attorneys. People don't realize that a power of attorney over finance, for instance, how important it is. I mean, if you don't have it and you need it, then somebody's got to go to court and get one. It's not something that you can take for granted. So with our platform, you get that document. Now, where I'm going with this, Pablo, is that we live in a society today where most people are very leery of their identity being stolen, people having their accounts hacked, whether it's through Facebook or even their credit card. Everything is vulnerable. We live in a vulnerable society today. So when you have a power of attorney, it's not mandatory that, let's say, a bank, that someone goes in with a power of attorney to use it, for the bank to not accept it. That's not uncommon. They may say you got to use our form. Well, I can't use your form. The person's not here now. What can I tell you? The other thing is they can look at it and say, well, and most of them will try to use the form. Let me be clear about that. But if that power of attorney is, let's say, a couple of years old, they may be afraid to use it. They may afraid, to say this is a dated document. You need to have something more current. Where I'm going with this, with our platform, you're able to keep your powers of attorneys fresh every year. I recommend do it every year, at least every 2 years, so that the dates on them are fairly current and you're able to keep those documents live and effective. And you're able to do that without paying legal fees through the estate planning platform that we've got. So it's having your finger on the pulse of your plan is something that is very important to a family. It's something that gives them peace of mind for sure.
Frank, and as we're here, coming round in the corner here, finishing out our call, I think we talked about a couple really important statistics, and I just want to bring up one more. So we talked about the fact that, hey, 80% of the country, 81%, and you can find this online, right? 81% of the country does not have an estate plan, right? While a third of the country might have a will, not enough, clearly, based on what we've discussed here. The other thing is that 84 trillion is being transferred in wealth. My question to those that are listening in is, if all that money is being transferred, that means that there's some pretty big decisions that are needing to be made. Who are they making? Who are they consulting? Who are they getting their advice from in order to make these decisions with their real estate, with their assets, with their finances? And then lastly, to show the urgency over this, the Census Bureau came out a couple of years ago and said 5,700 people, baby boomers specifically, 5,700 baby boomers are passing away daily, daily. And so if 80% of Americans don't have their affairs in order, what percent of the people that are passing away, how many of them don't have their affairs in order? And shouldn't you be the one? Shouldn't you be the one, Mr. Advisor, Mr. Mortgage Professional, Mrs. Insurance Agent? Shouldn't you be the one that they speak to about these things? And us take on the responsibility to be able to offer a solution to help them get these affairs in order. And so I want to thank you, Frank, for coming on, sharing your wisdom, your time on this call. I mean, it's been too short. We're already up. Is there a way maybe we can have you come back on in the future? Would you be open to that? We can kind of continue this, take another layer.
Absolutely. So, my commitment to you is, we're the technology company. We're not out there recruiting agents to be licensed to sell. We work with just strictly like you and your company that have some rights to be able to do this. So, as you're growing and you've got people that want to really get serious about this business, yes, we will provide follow-up programs. We will do whatever is deemed necessary. Most important, and I can't stress this enough, and that is just invest a little bit of time to understand the value and understand the market, how big it is, and understand how to make this opportunity available to them. So that little small investment of time and effort to understand this business will pay you in large dividends. So yes, I absolutely, we're here to serve you. Yes.
Great. And hey, listen, I know we didn't share the business model. I'll just take a couple minutes because it's pretty straightforward, and the valuable is unbelievable. For your clients, for any client that is thinking, like my wife said, hey, we need an estate plan. Let's just get one. It's $1,995. That's it for the full estate plan, all the documents that Frank had shared. And then we literally have a team that will help your clients walk through, get those documents filled out, make sure that they're signed, witnessed, and notarized in the appropriate places, and then even help you fund that trust, meaning retitling the appropriate assets. All that is $1,995. Now, for anyone that's an insurance agent, that's a financial advisor, real estate, mortgage professional, and you say, hey, I've got a team, I've got a client base that needs to know about this. You just need to become a licensee. You need to be able to carry the software, hold a license that says, hey, you have access to the software to help your clients. And you can then either do it yourself and help your clients, or you can utilize our service. That's $49.95 per month to utilize our software, or $495 a year. That's it, $500 for the year. And you can actually, once you're a licensee, you actually get referral fees back from us up to $1,000 per client for helping them put an estate plan in place. And so you know, we've got the information. We can have additional, you know, discovery call with us to learn more about that. But guys, you know, the small investment, time and money will save them, you know, and you know, kind of an incredible amount of time and energy and money in the future. And we've heard a lot of those stories before. So we want to thank you again for taking the time to spend with us. We look forward to having you, Frank, back on. We look forward to a great year and a prosperous year with the state plan documents and also with the State Docs Pro. Thank you for your service. Thank you, guys. We will see you next time. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Everyone have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye now. Thank you, everybody.